I just thank God for what he gave me and how he gave it to me. You know, our topic on today is there's always one. There's always one. That one or the one. So that's the subtopic. But our topic today is there's always one. There's always one in the group that's going to cut the food. You know, when you were growing up and you go and hang out with your friends, there's always one that don't have no money. It's always that one at the cookout, the family get together that's just gonna ruin the whole night because just they gonna say something. It's always when you try and be a good bowler, like you really try, it's always that one pin that's left when you try your hardest to make that strike. And that one pin, yeah, that one pin sitting there looking at you like, I ain't going down. I'm not going nowhere. It's always that one person on the job, and you love your job. You happy about going to work, but it's always that one nagging person that sometimes it's just ruined the whole day, right? That one apple out the whole bag that kind of mess up the other apples. You know how you look at your strawberries in the store before you get them, then you get them home and you wash them, and then next thing you know, you got one full of fur, and you see here like, how I missed this? And you're ready to throw away the whole package because of that one strawberry. Well, we can look at this today as not just that one as in a negative, but that one that's even in a positive light. That I want to be that one. I want to be that one. So I pray that when we finish with this, that your mindset will be, I want to be that one. Not being selfish or anything like that, not being cocky, not being overly confident, but you're going to say, I want to be that one. I want to be that one. So we're going to go in the word. We're going to look at a couple of people. And we know in Romans 5, it talks about how sin entered the earth by how many people? One. Because of one. That means because of the one that sinned, we're all shaped in the iniquity of sin, right? No matter who your mama is, who your daddy is, no matter how holy and righteous they were when you were born, you come out, you still have to accept Christ as your own personal Savior. You can't stand on mom, dad, grandma, granddaddy, sister, brother. You got to stand on your own and make your own personal confession. So the Bible talks about how sin entered in by just one. Just one. Sometimes it only takes one. That one could be a positive, that one could be a negative. So you gotta think about which one am I? Which one will I be? Which one do I want to be? Who is the one I'm destined to be? Right? So we're going to start off, and I want to look at this one. It's very familiar. I'm not gonna go through all of it, but it's very familiar. But I want us to look at just one. The power of a one. One. People are, oh, shoot, that's just one. There's power in a one. It's power in just that one. One word can kill a vision. One word can kill a dream. One word can take the life of a human. One word. That's why I say there's always that one. All right? So we're going to talk about Achan real quick. We're going to look at him. Let's go to Joshua 6:18. And I tried to have all my notes in here so that way I can just flip and don't be flippity-floppity. Okay, I think it's right there. Okay. Joshua 6:18. And y'all bear with me 1 minute because all my stuff is in here. Okay, yes. Okay, so I believe this is where I want to be. This doesn't look right, so just give me 1 second, okay? I didn't bring my Bible from home. I got this one from here. Okay, so 18. This is when God was speaking to Joshua, of course, and like I said, this is a very familiar passage. We know a lot about Achan, but the power of that one. The power of that one is what I want us to look at today. And Achan name means he that troubleth. So in Joshua 6:18, this is when the instruction was given to them. And God said, and ye in any wise keep yourselves from the accursed thing, lest ye make yourselves accursed. And when ye take of the accursed thing and make the camp of Israel a curse and trouble it. Three things there. Don't take of the accursed things unless you make yourself what? Accursed. And then you could come back and accurse the camp, and you could cause it to be troubled. Three things that God said was going to happen, right? And he gave instruction. This is why we have to be obedient. We have to strive for perfection. Don't let nobody pity-patty you and paticate you and sugar down and water down the word of God to you. Because guess what? You will find yourself accursed, and then they will be accursed too. But we have to strive to do what's right in the eyesight of God at all times. When he gives his commands, he's given them to us for a reason. There has to be order. We've all been out and we've seen kids that's just terrible. And you just sit there like, well, does the mother ever discipline them? And the child falls out on the floor, and the mama just like she's ignoring them like, they don't exist. So this is why they continue to do what they do. Because it's almost like, is there any structure? We know how we were taught. We know how we grew up, right? If I cut up in the store, I was catching it in the store. My mama didn't wait till we get home. I didn't even know of anything called a timeout. Go sit in a timeout corner. No, I guess my timeout corner was after she got me. You better get over there and sit down and shut up. Dry them tears. Shut it up, right? Carolyn didn't play, all right? I mean, she would get you. And she didn't get us often. And her famous saying was, I'm going to get you. When I get you, I'm going to get you for old and new. And I'd be like, Lord, let her forget everything. Just let her forget it all. Just let her forget it all. And then when she would get you, and you remember when you did such and such, I'm like, Lord, Mom, come lay across this bed. Mom, please. But I tell you, but when they would finish with us, we understood. The next time I go out, I ain't gonna do that. I ain't getting in trouble today. My mom could drive a car, and this is Talisa laugh at me because I guess it's where I got it from. My mom could be driving a car, a stick shift, and still reach in the back seat and pinch our cheeks. I'm like, how in the world, lady, are you doing all of this? But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But talking about instruction, that's why we have to strive in everything that we do to please God, right? Okay, so God spoke to him and said, all the silver, all the gold, all the vessels of brass, iron, and are consecrated unto the Lord, and they shall come into the treasury of the Lord, all right? Instruction was given that everybody heard the instruction. It wasn't for a few. Everyone heard the instructions that were given. So mind you, they go and they do what they have to do, and they come back and they're victorious and they're happy and they're elated. You know what I mean? We conquered. God said that we were going to conquer, and we conquered. So they thought. This is why when you're the head of your house, or if it's just you got to be careful what you do, right? You want to line up with the Lord because it's not just about you. You got a child, or you have children that are attached to you, or you have a spouse that's attached to you. You have family that are attached to you. People are watching us, and we don't want anybody to trip and miss God because of us, because of our disobedience, right? So now we know that they conquered, and they are happy, and they're rejoicing, but they had to go back again. Let's go back again, and let's see what happened. Okay, let's go to 7 and 9. And for the Canaanites, all the inhabitants of the land shall hear of it. Wait a minute. That's not Joshua 7. 7 and 19. Y'all forgive me because my stuff is just. Let's go to 7 and 19. All right? Now, but before we go to 7 and 19, remember they had went back and they had spied out the land. And when they spied out the land, they came back and said, you know what? We don't even need to take the whole troop. Just send about 2,000-3,000 of us. We don't need to take the whole troop because we got them. We saw them. We can take them. We just need a small number. But what happened when they went up? 35 of them were killed, and the rest of them were running. They could not understand, why are we running when God already told us we had the victory? They couldn't understand, why am I dealing with this when God said, you said you had gave us the city. You had gave us this. So why are we running away? Why are we fleeing from these people? We didn't even muster up a whole troop. Joshua went before the Lord. He fell on his face. And he said, God, why? Why did you bring us out here for this? Did you bring us out here just to be killed? Did you bring us out here to be made fun of? You said that we already had the victory. Well, God had to come back and speak. He had to come back and speak to Joshua. And he told him, get up. Because Joshua was on his face crying. He said, get up and sanctify yourself. It's sin in the camp. It's sin in the camp. Something is wrong. I told you I would be with you. But it's sin in the camp. There's an accursed thing among you. That's why y'all fled. That's why you were defeated. That's why you were looked to made fun of. That's why I had pulled back myself from you. Because sin was in the camp. And I don't abide in sin. And I'm not going to bless your disobedience. I'm not going to bless your sin. Now, Achan, it was 4 things he did. He saw, he coveted, he took, and then he concealed. A lot of times we're moved by what we see. I see that. I want that. I'm going to get that. Now, he took a nice little robe and some silver, right? Now, how do you go and take it, but then you can't even wear it? You can't even flaunt it. You dug in the earth, put it in the earth, and then concealed it and covered it. But you just had to have it because your eyes told you it was beautiful. It was goodly to look upon. Oh, I like what I saw. Oh, I know God said, but why do we allow a but to come back after God has already spoken? We justify our sin. We do. And a lot of times, and it's true, misery loves company. Because when you go and mess up, you're going to justify your sin with somebody who's going to justify it with you. You ain't going to go to the person that's going to stand tall and say, you wrong. You wrong for that. You need to get that thing right. You need to correct this real quick. No, you're going to find the one that's just as weak-minded as you are. And you're going to go to them and you're going to say, this is what I did. And they're going to come back and they're going to say, oh, well, it's all right. Well, God was, God don't mind. It's okay. God will forgive you. Yeah, he'll forgive you, but he's going to hold you accountable because he told you no. And a lot of times we always want to justify when we're wrong because we want to feel good, because it don't feel good when you're wrong. But you trying to justify that thing because you're trying to get that guilt off of you. The conviction is there, but you're trying to shake it because, I got to justify this thing. Let me call Sally. Let me talk to her because she gonna help me. And then you get off the phone and both of y'all is wrong, just as 2 left shoes on a right foot. Both of y'all wrong. But that's how the flesh works. The flesh wants to be appeased. The flesh always want to say, I'm good. But the Bible tells us in this flesh what? Dwelleth no good thing. So we can't even trust the flesh. In other words, I can't trust myself. That's why I have to mortify the deeds of this flesh and allow the spirit man to rise and to stand tall and to stand in front of me to lead me and guide me. Because if I allow my flesh to do this thing, I'm going to falter. I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to mess up somewhere, right? So Achan, these 4 things, this is what he did. He looked, he saw what he wanted, and that reminds us of David. Did not David see? Did he not see Bathsheba? Did he not covet her? Did he not go take her? And did he not try and conceal and cover the sin? The baby wasn't the sin. That wasn't the sin, right? That's human nature, how God created us to reproduce. So the child is never the sin, right? But the sin was when he laid with her and he knew she wasn't his wife. And then her husband wasn't away. Her husband was away. So all this sin. And you know, so we got to be careful what we see and how we let what we see get to us and how we let what we see move us to make a decision that will cause us to falter and to get off course. But even, let's go back and let's look at 16. So Joshua rose up early in the morning and he brought Israel by their tribes, and he went from tribe to tribe to tribe. And Joshua said to Achan knew what he had already did. He said, in verse 19, he said, my son, give, I pray thee, glory to the Lord God of Israel, and make confession unto him, and tell me now what thou hast done. Hide it not from me. And Achan answered Joshua and said, indeed, I have sinned against the Lord God of Israel, and thus have I done. And when I saw among the spoils a goodly Babylonian garment and 200 shekels of silver and a wedge of gold of 50 shekels weight, then I coveted them and took them. And behold, they are hid in the earth in the midst of my tent, and the silver under it. You took it. You couldn't even flaunt it. You couldn't even bask in it. You couldn't even enjoy it. What you gonna take something and then hide it for? What you gonna take something and bury it for? Because the conviction was already on him because he knew what he had did. So Joshua sent his messengers, and they ran into the tent, and behold, it was hid in the tent, and the silver under it. And they took them out of the midst of the tent, and brought them unto Joshua and to all the children of Israel, and laid them out before the Lord. And Joshua and all Israel with him took Achan, the son of Zerah, and the silver and the garment, and the wedge of gold, and his sons, and his daughters, and his oxen, and his asses, and his sheep, and his tent, and all that he had, and they brought them unto the valley of Achor. And the valley of Achor to this day means trouble. One man. One. It only took one. Everybody else was obedient. This is even in a body. Because they were a body. And this one man sin caused the entire camp to suffer. To the point that it cost not only him, but his whole household and everything that he had, even the tent. Everything this man had, they had to destroy because they had become the accursed thing. It only took one. It only took one. Don't be that one. Don't be like Achan that willingly disobeys God because you see what you see and you want what you want. And then you're going to take it and you're going to justify it to God as though he's supposed to understand that you just had need of this. The children of Israel wanted for no thing. The Bible even declares how their clothes and their shoes never wore out, right? So they wanted for nothing. They were not poor. When they left out of Egypt, they were rich because Egypt had blessed them real good before they had left. But I'm telling you, if we are not careful, the enemy will play on us and we'll say it's okay because he took it and didn't think anybody knew. He took it and didn't think nobody was looking. But God knows and sees all, even when we're by ourselves. Even on the darkest of night, God knows everything. He sees everything. He knows everything. He hears everything. So let's look at Achan. It only took one. Only took one to cause those men to have to run for their life. 35 other men died. Why? Because Achan was disobedient. Look at the other souls that were gone. Simply because he said, I got to have this robe. I want this silver and I want this gold. I'm going to take it for myself. That ain't us, y'all. That ain't us. That ain't our testimony, is it? Oh, I'm not that one. Are you? I'm not going to be that one that's going to displease God and willingly disobey. No, no, that's not me. Don't be that one who disobeys and look with his eyes and decide to sin. The one who causes his family to suffer. That's why I was saying if you're the head of your house, you even got to consider the things, the decisions that you make and how you will put your family. Remember last week, I ain't hitting on nobody. But if you're the head of your house and you don't want to give tithes and offering, and then you wonder why this breakdown and that breakdown and this is happening, this bill came from the left and you didn't even know about it, then you got to think about that. You causing your family to suffer because the Bible said your money is going to be like in a bag with holes. You ain't going to never accumulate nothing. You ain't going to be able to save nothing because it's always going to be something pulling and demanding from you because you said, okay, God, I don't have a lot, so I can't give you what I don't have. And then you justify it. But God said, okay, if that's your decision, it's fine with me. You're going to reap what I said in my word. Just like Achan had to reap what God had already put out there, right? Okay, let's go to another. Let's look at Lot's wife. Only thing you hear about her is Lot's wife. Ain't that something? Let's go to Genesis 19. We're going to go there. Is this okay with y'all? Winter told me I'd be fussing at people, so I'm trying to make sure I'm not fussing. Well, she told me I'd be fussing at everybody. Why you always got to fuss? I didn't know I was fussing, so I'm trying to be mellow with this word, okay? She said her and Paige said this, so I have to talk to Paige when she comes back. Yes, I'm going to have a little discussion with them in the office. Yes, I am too. Okay, so Lot's wife in Genesis 19. Let's go to Genesis 19. Let's go to 15. And I'm going to set this up for you. Now, Lot is a whole nother sermon. Okay? You can get about 10 sermons off a Lot. Out the gate, okay? But real quick, I'm going to give you this backdrop. So, Lot ended up in Sodom and Gomorrah. Once again, kind of like Achan, because of what he saw. When him and Abraham decided to split ways, Lot looked with his eyes and he beheld Sodom and Gomorrah. And he even told Abraham, it looks good. It looks pleasant. I'm going to go there. Now, once again, I come back to decisions that we made. Lot, with his eyes, decided to go to Sodom and Gomorrah because it looked good. And at the time, Sodom and Gomorrah was a really nice place. They were booming. It was beautiful. It was really, really nice. But this is where he went, and he took his family, right? He beheld with his eyes. He never went back to Abraham and said, how do you feel? What is the Lord saying? Which direction do you feel that the Lord will have me and my family to go? He just looked with his eyes and said, that looks good, and I'm going there. Well, it cost him. It cost him. So here, the sin was so great, we know that it had came up before the presence of the Lord, that he even came down to see it for himself. He had a discussion with Abraham before he sent the angels to come and to get Lot out of Sodom and Gomorrah. Mind you, the angels had come. They had told Abraham, get your family, and you got to quickly get up out of here because God is about to destroy it. Abraham dragged his feet. Lot dragged his feet along with his wife. They weren't in a rush to leave. You wonder why? So much sin around. And Lot knew what he had been taught, right? But you're living in the midst. You were a gatekeeper. Lot sat at the gate, at the entrance of Sodom and Gomorrah, where such sin was going on. Why did he take his family out? Why did he leave at some point? Why did it have to take God that had to come down to get him out of Sodom and Gomorrah for him to understand, I got to get out of here. I got to get my family out of here. This is not the way I'm supposed to be living. This is not the will of God, right? Okay, so let's go here. Let's go where I say 19. And 15, let's go to 15. And when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters, which are here. And mind you, the daughters were married. They were married and virgins. Don't even make sense, do it? Okay. But anyway, take thy 2 daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. And while he lingered, that means he was taking too much time. He was moving too slow. The angels knew God was ready to move. So this is what they did. They laid hold upon his hand and upon his wife's hand. The angels had to grab them and pull them out of the city and the hand of the 2 daughters, and the Lord being merciful unto him. And they brought him forth and set him without the city. They brought them out of the city because they were moving too slow. God had already spoken, get up and move. Has God spoken anything to any of us and told us to get up and move, get up and do, and we still lingering? What are you waiting for? Him to send an angel to come and grab your hand, to lead you to where he has told you to go, to lead you to the person who he told you to call or to go and see them and to witness to them? Is that what you're waiting for? Does it take God to have to send a shaking in order to get your attention, to say, hey, I told you to move? Does it take an angel to come and say, God is being merciful unto you, but you better come on and get up and do what God just told you to do? It only takes one. It's always that one. It's always that one. And so Lot's wife, they're going out the city. They had already been given their instructions. Go and do what? Don't look back. Why did she look back? Why did she look back? Some people say, oh, it was just curiosity. Oh, maybe she heard the fire and the brimstone raining from heaven, and she was just curious and she just wanted to see. Why did they linger when the angels had told them more than once to come on? She looked back because that's where her heart was at. She looked back because she was so attached to the city that she couldn't believe she was leaving. Once again, instructions were given of what not to do. But in her heart, she had to look back because it was such a part of her. It was such a part of her. You know how some people, where they grow up, it's such a part of them they can never break away. I don't knock nobody, but I want you to hear this. Sometimes when you feel as though this is where you're from, I don't care if you grew up in the projects or you grew up in income-based housing. Sometimes people feel like that's all they can do, and that's the best they'll ever have because this is where their mama raised them, and their grandmama raised their mama there, and that grandmama raised their mama there. So they'll feel like it's a cycle and that they can't come out, and they'll feel like that's always going to be a part of them. But have you seen the ones that do kind of get out? And they get out and they say, I made it out. I was able to get out. I always wanted better. You don't despise your beginning, but you know that you can do better. I'm striving to do better. I'm striving because I want more. I want more out of life. Sometimes we get so comfortable in our past of where we were and things that we did and people we hung with or who we were connected to that we can't understand that the only way to serve God, you have to move forward. You can't serve him backwards. You can't walk forward but be looking backward. You're going to make a mistake and you're moving forward. You're going to hit a wall. You're going to fall into a ditch. Something is going to happen because you're not designed that way. In order to serve Christ, we have to move forward. And if you look back at your past, because you're seeing, God, I thank you for how you brought me over. I thank you for how you brought me through. I thank you that I'm not where I used to be, God. You have done a mighty good thing in me. You have brought me from a mighty, mighty long way. That's how you look back. And even in your looking back, you look back because you say, you know what? I got a couple of friends I got to go back to get. I got some of my cut buddies that I used to run the street with. I'm going to make sure I get them. But to look back, because you're saying, I remember what was. I remember him and what he used to do for me. Or I remember her and how we used to kick it. Or I remember how I used to go to the club and what that was like. I remember when I used to smoke weed. I remember how we used to lace it here or there with this and that. I remember how I used to get toe up. But when you keep looking back with that mindset and that mentality, you're going to make a way to go back. You're going to make a way to go back, regardless of the consequences, regardless of what you know you're wrong. You're going to say, I got to go back because you're missing what you had. So if that's in you, you got to get that out of you. We serve Christ moving forward. God is always moving forward. He's not a backwards God. So when you get like that, you got to say, Lord, help me. Because I refuse to go back. What does it say? He who put his hands to the plow and looks back, it's not worthy. What about when he said when you backslide? That means you go back and you're like a dog. You're eating your vomit. You're eating all the mess. That's sin. That's mess. That's filth. God equates it to vomit. When a person backslides, that's what they're doing. They're going back and they're saying, fix me my vomit. I'm ready to eat. This nasty, ain't it? But when you backslide, that's what you're doing. You're going back to sin. You're going back to filth. You're going back to what you don't want, what you don't need in your life. You're going back to consequences. You're going back to being outside of the ark of safety. But this place, Sodom and Gomorrah, had become such a part of his wife that her heart was still there. So she had to look back. She was moving forward. They had already brought her out the camp, set her where she needed to be, along with Lot and the two daughters, and said, come on now, y'all keep going. And even Lot, they told him, get to the mountain. And Lot said, I can't. Is there somewhere else I go? Can I go over here once again? And the merciful hand of God said, okay, go and don't look back. But she had to turn back. And then there is a pillar of salt to this day in Israel. Look it up. Y'all will see it. They say it is a pillar of salt to this day. And it's almost unbelievable. How did she just turn into a pillar of salt? When we say God can part a Red Sea, so he can do anything there, right? He can raise the dead, right? But she lost it because her heart was still somewhere where God was trying to pull her from out of. Don't let your past pull you back. Don't let that one person pull you back to your old ways, to your old way of thinking, to your old way of living. But be that one that's determined that I'm going forward. I don't have time to turn around. I don't have time to mess up now. It's too late in the day. I'm going forward. I'm going to keep this thing going, and I'm going to move forward because I got to see Jesus. I got to see him, and I can't see him walking away from him. I'm only going to see him walking to him. I got to go to him. The Bible says, look to the hills where cometh your help. My help comes from the Lord. The hills are before me, not behind me. So I can look up, and I can keep looking as I'm walking because I know that God got me, right? It only takes one. It only takes one. We're going to keep it moving because I'm just about done. Let's go to Rahab. Anybody like Rahab? Rahab. Now, come on now. How would God use somebody like Rahab? A harlot. And that's what she's known as. Rahab, the harlot. They very rarely, when they talk about her, they just say Rahab. But they say Rahab, the harlot. How could God use someone like this? But let's look at how this one woman, I'm telling you, it only take one. It only take one. Let's go to Joshua 2:9. And let's look at Miss Rahab here. And it says, and she said unto the men, I know that the Lord hath given you the land, and your terror is fallen upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what ye did unto the two kings of the Amorites that were on the other side of Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom ye utterly destroyed. And as soon as we had heard these things, our hearts did melt. Neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, he is God. He is God in heaven and earth beneath. This is a woman who was a prostitute. They had heard of what God was doing for the children of Israel, to the point that they all stood in fear of Israel. They already knew that the city God had given to Israel. They knew they couldn't even put up a fight. Now, mind you, this is a harlot, and she did call these two spies into her house, but she hid them, and even she lied for them to tell the people, oh, I haven't seen them, but I know they went that way. If you go ahead, you'll catch them. But look at this woman who had been prostituting, who was the scum of the earth in that city. Didn't nobody think nothing of Rahab. Nobody thought anything of her because of her profession. She made her coins by selling her body. But yet her heart was touched by what she had heard. Her heart was touched because she had been hearing the reports along with everybody else of what God was doing. And in her heart, God began to deal. That's why you can't discount nobody. You can't discount nobody because of their profession, because of what they did. She ended up being in the lineage of Christ. She was Boaz's mama. But her heart began to be sensitive to God, that she even confessed with her mouth who God is. Your God is God. He is God. We all stand in fear of him. We stand in fear of you all because we already know what he has done. There is no courage here in this place. Will you just do me with this one favor? She was willing to ask for what? Some help. Sometimes we get in a predicament and we don't want to ask for no help. But this woman said, I need some help. Will you look out for my family? Will you have mercy on us? Will you look out for us? She had enough sense out of everybody in that city. One person. Think about it. Everybody in that city. She wasn't the only person who saw them spies. Was she? But she was the only one whose heart had courage to say, can you come in? I'll hide you. I'll cover you. I know who your God is. I heard about what he's done. That's why we can't be silent. That's why we can't sit around and sit in a corner and say we can't say nothing about our God, and we can't testify on his behalf, and we can't tell somebody who he is and what he has done in our personal life. We can take the word up off the pages and just say what he's done in my life. I can tell you what he did in the word, but I can tell you what he's even done for me. That's why a lot of times we sit and we're quiet because we don't want to say nothing. We don't want to be that one to rock the boat. But I'm telling you, rock the boat. Rock the boat and say something. Open up your mouth and testify. Somebody is listening. They were listening. Rahab's ears were attentive. The whole city stood in fear, but she was the only one out of the whole city that came and said, hey, will y'all please have mercy on us? I know who your God is. And what did they do? We got you. Make sure this cord hanging out the window. We're going to look out for you and your family. Out of everybody in that city, her whole house was saved because one person took the time to say, I know who your God is. I want your God. I know that he is God. I've heard about him. I heard of the miraculous things that he's done. I heard you testifying the other day how God did something for you. I heard how you told somebody else that God had made a way. I heard how you told about your promotion that you had got when they said it's a freeze. Oh, I heard about you. I've been watching you. And I would like to know your God. So we can't be silent. And it only took one person. Out of all those, have you ever thought about all those people in that city and only one person One person reached out and said, I need my family saved. Can you please have a little bit of mercy on me? I've shown you kindness. I've looked out for you. I lied in everything. But even when you go into Hebrews, you'll find Rahab is in the list with who? Abraham. She's in the Faith Hall of Fame because her faith was given to her and imputed righteousness to her simply because she believed who God was. She hadn't seen the waters open. She hadn't seen any of the miracles. She had only heard it. And in her hearing it, that was enough for her to say, I believe this God. I believe that he is God. She hadn't seen a thing, but just because she had heard, that's enough for me. I heard enough. Anybody ever heard that? I heard enough. Sign me up. Put my name down. I'm going. I heard enough. That sounds like fun. Oh, I heard enough. Yep, I believe you. One person. Look at the thief on the cross. How many were on the cross with Christ? But how many made it in? You always got that one that's going to cut the food. That one that was, okay, you're Jesus. Why are you up here with us? Why don't you get down? But then you always got that other one that's stand up and stand for what's right. Man, shut up. We deserve to be here. He's done nothing. Look what you have done. Look what I have done. We're guilty as charged. He don't have no guilt. There is no shame for him. He hasn't sinned. He hasn't done anything. He didn't rob nobody. He didn't do nothing wrong. But we're up here on this cross, and we're guilty of what we've done. But it was only one that cried out to Jesus and said, will you please have mercy upon me? And Christ came back to say, yep, today you're going to be with me in paradise. One. But it was two of them. It was two of them, but only one made it in because only one believed who Christ was. It was only one who won't cut in the food. And it saved his soul. But Rahab, that one lady, the one who they considered nothing, the one who they considered dirty and unclean, because she made one move, was able to save her whole house. We got to be in position. We got to be that one. We got to be that one that's going to stand for righteousness. We got to be that one that's going to say, I'm yielded to you, Lord. We got to be that one. Let's look at John the Baptist real quick, and then I'm going to close it out. Is that all right? I ain't fussing today. I'm trying not to fuss. I hope I ain't boring y'all, but I'm trying not to fuss. Let's go to John 1:21. 1:21. So I love John the Baptist because, of course, John told you what his reason for being was. You know, a lot of times in the flesh, we want the accolades. We want to be seen. I'm hot. We want to be seen. We want everybody to know who we are, know our name, right? But that wasn't John. That wasn't John the Baptist. John was like, oh, this ain't even about me. It ain't even about me. So let's look at John 1:21. And this is when they came, and they wanted to talk to him. They were questioning who he was. The Jews, they sent priests and the Levites to Jerusalem because they wanted to see, who is this man, John the Baptist? Why is he disrupting so much? Why is he preaching? Why is he baptizing? Why is he this one crying out? What is he doing? Who is he? Because he's messing up our flow. He's interrupting what we have going on. Because, see, people been looking at us as we're the dignitaries in the earth, right? We're the church. We're the priests. We're the ones that got it going on. We're the answers. We're the holy ones. Who is this man that's interrupting what we're having going on? So they came to him in 21, and they asked him, what then? Art thou Elias? And he said, I am not. Art thou that prophet? And he answered, no. Then they said unto him, who art thou, that we may give an answer to them that sent us? What sayest thou of thyself? John came back and said, I am the voice of one crying in the wilderness. Make straight the way of the Lord. As said the prophet Isaiah. He said, I am the voice of, I'm just a voice of one. The one who y'all really looking for is coming behind me. Whose shoe latches and laces I ain't even worthy to even touch. So don't look at me. I'm just one crying in the wilderness. Isn't that us? Isn't it us today? Isn't Christ coming back? Isn't he going to come back and he's going to rapture us out of here? What did he tell us to do from the other Sunday? Go, therefore, tell somebody, anybody who will listen about me because I'm coming back. Only thing John the Baptist was doing was saying, I'm just one person. I'm just one. I'm by myself, but I'm good. I can answer you and tell you who I am, but I'm not the one that you're really looking for. But I don't have a problem with going against the grain right about now. I don't have a problem with interrupting everything y'all got going on. I don't have a problem with being the oddball out because I know that there's someone coming that y'all need to hear about, that y'all need to know about. That's us, y'all. We have to prepare the way for the second coming of Christ. We got to get some souls into this kingdom. I got to be that one that don't mind opening up my mouth and having something to say. Christ even came back and he was talking to the disciples. He was like, I need y'all to go. He sent them 2 by 2s, but after Christ went back to heaven, some of them were 1 by 1. But they had to go. They had to do what God told them to do because there was a great work that was being done. They had to open up their mouth regardless of who was listening or who wasn't listening, regardless of the Jews and the Pharisees getting upset with them and wanting them killed and wanting them betrayed and wanted their heads cut off. He told them to go, do what I've told you to do, be the one that I'm depending on. God is depending on us together, but even individually, right? So when we talk about there's always that one, I've given you some ones that didn't fare well, some ones that were disobedient, some ones that said, I'm going to do what I want to do, regardless of the consequences. I don't want that my testimony. When somebody call your name or somebody say, oh, Mother Helen, you want them to say, oh, yes, oh, she is the one. You need somebody to talk to, you can talk to Mother Helen. You need somebody that can get a prayer through, Mother Helen is the one. You don't want to be that one that somebody say, oh, yeah, you don't want to mess with them because they trouble. You don't want to mess with them because they always starting stuff. You don't want to mess with them because, they ain't living up to what they say they are. They act like they got it going on, but really they'll flip the script on you in a minute. Right? We know how we are. You go somewhere and somebody want to cut up and you tell them, oh, yes, I'm the one. But I don't think you want none of me. I'm the one. Now, you don't have no problem saying you the one then when you want to lay it down, right? Ain't that right, Laser? Ain't that right, Laser? But we have to be that one that's going to stand in the gap, that one that's going to be that one on the wall that's going to pray and intercede, that one that's going to say, God, I don't care if everybody run away from you, I ain't going nowhere. God, I'm going to be that one that endure to the end because I know this race is not given to the fastest. It ain't even given to the strongest. But God is given to that one that say, I'm going to stand. I'm going to endure. I'm going to hold on to the horns of the altar. I'm going to be that one that though they slay me, yet, God, I'm still going to trust you. Though I have to go through this test and this trial, God, I'm going to be the one that's going to come out as pure gold. God, I'm going to let you have your will in my way, your way in my life. I'm not going to be the clay that's sitting on the wheel being spent, being shaped, and think I have the audacity to talk back to you and you're God and I can tell you how to shape me, how to mold me, how to use me. But God, I'm going to be that clay that's sitting there saying, God, have your way. I don't even have a mouth. I don't even have a mind because it's all about you. I got to be that one. I got to be that one. What did Wine say? A million still didn't make it. What's that song? But I was one of the ones that did. Oh, I'm going to be one of the ones. I'm going to be one of the ones. I'm not going to be the one that's going to have God come back and say, okay, take that name out the book of life because they cutting the food. Take that name out the book of life because they decided to go back. No, I'm going to be the one that's going to be standing. When he said when he comes, it's going to be 2 in the bed. One going to be taken, 2 in the field. One is going to be taken. Oh, 2 going to be grinding, but one is going to be taken. I'm going to be the one that they looking for. When they still here. And they're going to say, is Trina still here? Oh, boo. That one made it. She going up out of here. Because I ain't staying here for you. I'm going to be that one that, God, I'm going to trust you even when I don't understand. I'm going to be that one that I'm going to hold on even though I feel like I'm in the worst storm of my life. I'm going to be that one, God, that you can depend on. That one that you can look to. That one that you're going to say I'm proud of. That one that you can say, yep, I'm getting the glory out of her life. God, I'm going to be that one, God, that's going to pray without ceasing. I'm going to be that one that's going to tell somebody else about you. I'm going to be that one that's not going to be quiet, that's not going to be silent, that's not going to tuck tail and go in a corner. But I'm going to be the one that open up my mouth and say who God is. I'm going to say in what I believe in, who I believe in, on what I stand. I'm going to be that one that I'm going to trust you until the end. If you take me up out of here before it come to pass, I'm still going to die in the faith that you're going to do it. Abraham didn't see it all. But he died in the faith, knowing and believing that God was going to do what he said that he was going to do.